Sonko, and this is QTV News coming to you live from our studios along Caraba Avenue. Thanks for joining us. Here are the main local and international news headlines. President Barrow has called on supporters to promote decent politics and be receptive to all at an NPP rally at Fonyi Bondali on Saturday. A project to plant 1 million trees in the North Bank region was launched by UNDP, the Gambia Red Cross Society and its partners. We hear from people in diverse sectors about how the pandemic has affected their institutions and how they're coping. In international news, 3 Gambians and 8 Senegalese have been rescued and at least 48 are missing, presumed drowned, after a wooden boat carrying migrants capsized off the coast of Senegal. Also today, the 30th of August, is International Day of the Victims of Enforced Disappearances. Those were the main headlines, and now the news in detail. Do stay with us. Thank you for joining us, and I am Jainab Sonko. Now, the National People's Party on Saturday held a political rally at Fonyi Bondali, where the party's leader, President Barrow, called on supporters to promote decent politics and be receptive to all. Aliou Cisse has the rest of that.
For over 2 decades, Fonyi had and continues to be a stronghold of the former ruling Tone opposition party, the APRC. However, it seems the NPP party is gaining ground here if this crowd at the rally in Fonyi Bondali is anything to go by. Fonyi is part of the West Coast region, also known as the powerhouse of Gambian elections, with over 300,000 registered voters. The Fonyi rally comes after the Banjul Youth Rally, organized by the party and graced by President Barrow, Secretary General and leader of the NPP. The rally was also attended by supporters, alcalos and chiefs of the West Coast region, executive members of the party and some cabinet ministers. For President Adama Barrow, the Fonyi crowd is a clear demonstration of the readiness of the people of Fonyi to work with his government for the development of the country. He told the people of Fonyi that he is a president for all who believe in an all-inclusive development. He encourages the youth of the country to be steadfast and hardworking as not only future leaders but current leaders handling key positions in government. Detractors who want to come in between me and the people of Fonyi will bow in shame after seeing this crowd, end of quote. According to him, the Fonyi region is not left behind in this development, citing what he calls feeder roads, women's gardens, and subsidized fertilizer provided to the people. He went further to pledge that many, if not all the communities in Fonyi, will be electrified by 2023 through the different electricity expansion projects.
Andu sa ko Fonyi ko le ko jannin 2023 sate wo sate be Fonyi ko no ngantile ngal promise ni president Barrow ba be electrify la al be courant sur la Fonyi ja.
He was also thankful to the National Assembly members of Fonyi, who he said, despite belonging to the opposition APRC party, have been very supportive of his development agenda as manifested during parliamentary sessions. Describing this election as very important, President Barrow said the election is like a referendum, as Gambians will vote in what he calls yes or no, translating between progress and retrogress. He shared with the crowd what he says are the many development projects implemented and being implemented across the country, such as the roads and bridges projects in Basse, North Bank region, Central River region, and Banjul, among others. A confident-sounding NPP leader advises the NPP supporters to embark on decent politics and discuss issues to convince people to join the party.
Aletani Allah hakilola. Ale politique sengonati Gambia. Ale disu issues kan même manque personality.
Ibrahim Silla, Minister of Information and Communications, a staunch NPP supporter who also chaired the rally, believes the whole cabinet must be committed to attracting the needed support to give the president a landslide victory in the next election. Hamad Nkeba, Minister of Tourism and Culture, who also doubles as the leader of the NRP party, Ami Fabre, Minister of Agriculture and Secretary of the Women's Wing of the NPP party, Bakari Baji, Minister for Youth and Sports, and Dr. Demba Sabali, Second Deputy National President of NPP, called on their supporters to continue canvassing more support for the party and to be receptive to newcomers, as the lifeblood of any political party is the people.
It means that Fonyi, it belongs to NPP, and we're going to vote for NPP, inshallah, by 4th of December. Yeah, Fonyi belongs to President Adama Barrow.
Several other speakers at the rally, including Umar Koli, the chief of Fonyi Bondali, Aliou Baji, youth representative, Meta Korka, women representative, Lamin Jata, chairman of NPP for West Coast region, and Debo Santam Bojang, President of Council of Elders, West Coast Region, advocate peace and unity ahead of the polls, while inviting all Gambians to back the president for what they believe is the unity and development of the country. They appeared confident that NPP will sweep the polls against other parties. The president is scheduled to preside over another political rally next Sunday at Bagadaji in the Jemara district, Upper River region. President Barrow himself hails from Mankamankunda, also in the same district. Reporting for QTV News, I am Aliu Sise.
As one of the responses to climate change crisis in the Gambia, the UNDP and its partners, including the Gambia Red Cross Society, have launched a project to plant 1 million trees in the North Bank region. Mamadou Lamin Choi has the rest of that.
When rainfall, a windstorm and flash floods hit the Gambia on July 7th this year, it led to at least 12 deaths and devastated the lives of more than 100,000 people, and houses were also destroyed. Such are the consequences of a climate crisis facing our country and the world. In response to this, a UNDP-funded project is being launched in the North Bank region to plant 1 million trees chosen due to the region's vulnerability to climate shocks, according to Dr. Almami Kamara, UNDP's program specialist on environment and resilient development.
We are starting it with the North Bank region as based on studies and observations. The North Bank region is the most affected in terms of climate change. The vegetation cover is sparse, and really when there is erosion or rainfall or whatever, the impact is severe.
The project was launched on Saturday at Suarekunda in the North Bank region, a community that was one of many severely hit by the recent windstorm. In support of its climate change mitigation ambition, the community residents turned out in their numbers. The $200,000 project is targeting 30 communities in the North Bank region, and the Gambia Red Cross Society is an implementing partner. Here is Abdullah Faye, the Programs and Operations Director of the Gambia Red Cross Society.
We have volunteers in every community. One key thing is, first, is to monitor what is happening. So there will be frequent monitoring from the national level down to the regional level to ensure that these trees are well protected, and they will report any case that happens, whether it is bushfire, whether it is people cutting the small trees. All these things will be also documented because we want to know the mortality rate of also the trees.
Aside from that monitoring strategy, the benefiting communities are urged to develop a sense of ownership of the trees for their survival and protection. Community residents and leaders who spoke at the launching event promised to take proactive measures to protect the trees for sustainability. Here is the governor of the North Bank region giving his reassurance.
And we think that the village will take this as their own, take its ownership of the forest and protect it and make sure that the trees that we plant survive. That is the main thing that we are going to advocate after the tree plant.
This project has also supported youth nursery growers in the North Bank region by providing a market for their seedlings. The North Bank region is the source of the million seedlings of 11 different species of trees which were bought from young nursery growers. We heard from the chief of Jokado, Alpha Madam Khan.
You could have bought these seedlings from Nyambai, from everywhere in this country. It is still the same Gambia. But the idea of trying to bring it back to the people of the region, is something that even the nursery growers have been crying. We tell them that it's good to have a nursery management, you can make something out, but they are not having market. But at least this has sparked something.
Protecting the environment is one of the strategic areas of the UNDP. Albeit it is a hugely significant venture, we must not let down our guards, as the consequence of doing so could be a climate catastrophe that is more devastating than the one we are witnessing today. Mahmoud Lamin Chai, QTV News.
Plant trees to save lives. Now, the introduction of lockdowns and COVID-19 safety measures severely affected the way most sectors had operated for many years. To gauge how the pandemic has affected some of these institutions, Usman Jatta engaged people in diverse sectors. Here is the report.
COVID-19 swept the planet and effectively stopped the way the world operated. Travel restrictions, lockdowns and night curfews became the new trends. These measures made life difficult for most breadwinners who were struggling to sustain their livelihoods. schools all over the country had to go for a temporary shutdown for more than 6 months. Adama Jimba Job is the Deputy Permanent Secretary at the Ministry of Basic and Secondary Education, outlines the impact of the pandemic on the education sector.
When schools resumed in October of 2020, some classes, particularly in the urban area, schools with big enrollment were forced to downsize their class sizes. And that put a lot of pressure on the ministry in terms of teacher supply, in terms of classroom, in terms of furniture.
PS Job believes that to confront future crises, the education system has to be dynamic and flexible for students.
We can no longer rely on the chalk and the board as you and I were educated. We have to think of how do we reinforce the issue of distance education. How do we make sure that our teachers are trained to be able to use technology to teach?
The sports sector also saw a temporary suspension of all major sport leagues. Ibu Fai is the second vice president of the Gambia Football Federation.
It was tough in the game because our league has to be suspended last year. And this year we were able to manage to complete the league.
With the pandemic showing no signs of leaving anytime soon, Mr. Fai believes there is a need to improve the country's health system. All non-essential businesses were asked to go into a temporary closure. This move has affected several restaurant and guest house managers who relied on their businesses for their livelihood. Lamin Tamba has been running a guest house in Kololi for nearly 2 decades. Here is his take on the matter.
Because since COVID, the first year we could teach for 1 year. The second year,
the emergence of COVID-19 saw a temporary closure of my business for nearly a year. The following year, I evaluated the condition of my guest house, and after the assessment, I concluded that I have to open for business. Upon reopening, I reduced the number of my staff from cleaners to the security guards to cope with the impact of the pandemic.
To assist families who are going through tough times, the government provided stimulus packages to 85% of vulnerable families across the country. On 26 August, case numbers on the Health Ministry's website reveals that the country now had 309 deaths, 9,470 positive cases, and 9,049 recoveries. As the country experiences a third wave of the Delta variant, most people have begun discovering new ways of moving on with life and business. Osman Jatta, QTV News.
Also get vaccinated to stop the spread. We'll go for a short commercial break. When we come back, we have more stories for you. Do stay tuned.
The best product in town is back. QCell's MiFi router. Get the best MiFi in the country for just $2,800 and connect up to 15 users with 4G internet speeds and a long-lasting battery life. So rush now to any of our customer care locations and get the best for less while stocks last. For more info, call our customer care on 111. QCell, Senior Boss, the Gambia's quality network. We innovate, others follow.
Q Money, the biggest mobile money service in the Gambia, has taken mobile banking to the next level. Now, you can link your Q Money wallet with your bank account. Yes, link your Ajib or EcoBank accounts with your Q Money wallet and get instant access to your cash anytime. No need to queue at the bank anymore. Transfer funds from your bank account to your wallet or your wallet to your bank account using Q Money Bank Link is the fastest, most secure, and convenient way to transfer funds between your wallet and bank account. For more information, call our customer care on 133. Q Money, Sunyu Kalpe. Terms and conditions apply.
Welcome back from that short commercial break. If you're just tuning in, you're watching QTV News, and I am Jenna Basonko. Now, $345,000 worth of personal protective equipment were presented to the Ministry of Health by the West African Health Organization. Lola M. Kamara has the rest of that.
The PPEs are to support the Ministry of Health in its fight to tackle the coronavirus pandemic. They include 3,000 boxes of face masks and 2,000 boxes of hand sanitizers. Receiving the items on behalf of the Health Ministry, Babandin Sabali, Director of Pharmaceutical Services, said these materials are among the most needed in the fight against COVID-19.
One of the key interventions in our health dispensation is the availability of supplies. Availability of supplies is more or less equated to the quality of healthcare delivery system. Once supplies are available in quality and quantity, the health delivery system is deemed as of good quality. Therefore, availability of supplies is key ingredients in ensuring that quality health service delivery is assured to the populace.
Rennie Jeffrey Renner, the chairman of the Nations Committee at the Ministry of Health, expressed appreciation to the West African Health Organization for their intervention to support the ministry in its endeavor to fight the coronavirus. Mr. Renner also explained the reason for the donation committee's establishment.
The Minister felt that there should be transparency, that it should not be just the ministry or just the government. Because I am not in government. I'm a pensioner, I'm retired. So he wanted people from outside, like Ajala Tujara is a retired nurse. He wanted them to, those who are retired, to be involved so that the people will know that it's transparent.
Representing the Minister of Health, Fantabai Seka, Deputy Permanent Secretary at the Ministry of Health, states that the materials have come at the right time as the country is still counting new cases of the virus.
COVID-19 is still here, and we need to ensure that we have enough masks, enough hand sanitizers, and also keep social distancing. I'm happy that the members of press are here, and we will continue to collaborate and do the advocacy to ensure that people put on their masks is very important, and also have hand sanitizers being used. So this donation is quite valuable, and we really appreciate the efforts that WAHO has put in place for the Gambia government to have this mask and to continue supporting the Gambia government in its fight against COVID-19.
At the event, health experts also used the occasion to remind the public about the WHO guidelines, which includes taking the injection, wearing face mask, regular washing of hands, and maintaining social distancing. For QTV News, Lolly M. Kamara.
The PRO of the Floriculture Association of Gambia has revealed that lack of tourists caused by the coronavirus pandemic has negatively impacted the flower business. Abiba Tusise spoke to the PRO of the association and she fastened this report.
Blossoming flowers play an important role in beautifying the environment and gives pleasure to people who crave a connection with nature. They add color and fragrance to enhance emotional well-being and attracts insects for pollination. In the Gambia, the Floriculture Association promotes the interests of those dealing in flowers and ornamental plants as a source of income. Like other businesses in the country, the PRO of the Floriculture Association of the Gambia, Mumini Balde, says COVID-19 has affected their business. He added that most of their customers are tourists, and the restriction and closure of the tourist season has greatly affected them.
This year, we don't have clients compared to previous years. Look at these avocado plants. They would not have been here at this time of the year, but because sales have dropped, they have not been sold.
Piero Balde reveals that he has been in the flower business for 20 years. The proceeds from his business is what he uses to feed his family, he added. He further stated that they not only sell ornamental plants like flowers, but also sell medication and fruit plants. He then explains the importance of plants.
The benefits of plants are numerous. For example, you can have butter from the avocado plant and orange juice from the orange plant. You can also use the leaves of some plants for medication, like the aloe vera, which can be used to treat pimples. And even drinking the jelly is good.
Piero Balde says he has 12 youth working with him and urges Gambian youth to engage in agriculture because not everyone can be employed in the formal sector.
Let them participate in the sector, agriculture sector, whether it's ornamental plant or fruit plant or medication plant or vegetable will prove better life.
According to Balde, their challenges include water shortage, especially during the dry season. Tourism is one of the hardest hit by the pandemic due to the travel restrictions globally. For now, until help comes their way, informal businesses like these flower sellers have to endure with what almost all other businesses are facing. This is the negative impact of the coronavirus pandemic. For QTV News, I am Abibatu Sise.
That story by Abibatu Sise. Now we will take a look at stories beyond our borders. 3 Gambians and 8 Senegalese have been rescued and at least 48 are missing, presumed drowned after a wooden boat carrying around 60 people capsized off the coast of Senegal on Friday. More in this report.
A statement released by the Senegalese army reveals that Navy vessels rescued 11 passengers and retrieved 1 body from the water. The search began after they received an alert that a boat had overturned 35 kilometers from the estuary of the Senegal River. Those rescued included Senegalese citizens and Gambians, according to the Senegalese army. This is the latest tragedy in a country where thousands have tried to move to Europe to look for better opportunities using the sea of undocumented irregular migration. Senegalese migrants have long risked their lives at sea using small fishing boats for a chance to reach Europe, and the COVID-19 pandemic has led to a resurgence of attempts. Search and rescue efforts were continuing, according to the army, but gave no further details on the passengers or their destination. Meanwhile, a report by the UN's Migration Agency states that at least 849 people died this year en route to the Canary Islands. There have been efforts by the Senegalese authorities to discourage people from taking this dangerous journey, even to the extent of prosecuting the fathers of some who attempted to migrate. According to Spanish government data, from January 1st to July 31st, at least 7,531 people reached the islands from the Western Africa, a 136% rise compared with the same period in 2020. Inasmuch as it is risky and dangerous, people, especially the youth, still embark on this journey to Europe, using small boats with many failing to make it to their intended destination. For QTV News, Lolly M. Kamara.
International Day of Victims of Enforced Disappearances is marked every year on August 30th to honor, pay tribute and draw attention to individuals imprisoned or killed, known or unknown to their families or legal representatives. Yaya Jawa has the rest of that.
Enforced disappearance is a global problem, not restricted to a specific region of the world. In December 2010, the United Nations made an official declaration that it would observe annually the International Day of the Victims of Enforced Disappearances on August 30th, with the first commemoration being in 2011. This evil practice is used as a strategy to spread terror within a society. It occurs when people are arrested, detained or abducted against their will, usually by state agents of dictatorial governments, who often refuse to disclose the whereabouts of these people. On this important day, the UN Secretary-General Antonio Guterres has urged countries to fulfill their obligations to avert and prosecute cases of enforced disappearance, an act he described as a cowardly practice, saying, "Together, we can and we must end all enforced disappearances." Since enforced disappearance is mainly the product of military dictatorships, it has become a global problem. According to the UN, hundreds of thousands of people have disappeared in more than 80 countries across the globe. Even though the practice is criminalized under international human rights law, Mr. Guterres says enforced disappearance continues to be used across the world as a method of repression, terror, and stifling dissent. The UN chief went on to say that enforced disappearance deprives families and communities of the right to know the truth about their loved ones, of accountability, justice, and reparation. Paradoxically, it is sometimes used under the pretext of countering crime and terrorism. Lawyers, witnesses, political opposition, journalists and human rights defenders are particularly at risk, he added. However, the UN Secretary General has reiterated his call for countries to ratify the Convention of Enforced Disappearances for the protection of all persons against the practice. Being a global problem, the Gambia is among many countries whose people have experienced enforced disappearances during the 22 years dictatorial and authoritarian rule of ex-President Yahya Jammeh, who used state agents to arrest, intimidate and harass people unlawfully, leading to the disappearance of many. During the recently concluded TRRC sittings, many families got to know how their relatives and loved ones went missing through the testimonies of witnesses. However, others still do not know the whereabouts of their missing ones, and therefore live with the agony of their absence and the added pain of not knowing where to find them. Reporting for QTV News, I am Yahya Jao.
Well, that is all we have for you in this edition of QTV News. Join us at 10 for another bulletin. Thanks for watching.